So as I established in my Sonic Mania episode, 2017 was a 90s platformers kid's wet dream. And one of those titles I had mentioned was the Crash Bandicoot Nsane Trilogy. Much like the other return to form platformers that we got last year, Crash felt like a love letter to the original fans of the series. Well, for better or worse that is, which we'll get into later. So before I really dissect these games, I'd like to say that I am a pretty decent sized fan of Crash. I might have never owned a PlayStation before the PS3, but I was still able to play the originals, and I took any opportunity I could to do so because they were a lot of fun. So I was pretty impressed with this remake, and the fact that it only cost $50 Canadian was actually kind of mind-blowing. I would have had no problem paying the full $80. Oh yeah, you think $60 is a lot for a game? We pay $80 here, and that's before tax. Shit, it costs over $450 in Ontario after taxes just to buy a Switch. Let that sink in while I continue talking. But back to Crash. So the Nsane Trilogy is for the most part a one-for-one remake of the original 3 games. Same great gameplay, just with a fresh new coat of paint that makes you really feel the love that went into this. Not to mention the quality of life improvements they added, which, let's be real, Crash 1 desperately needed. Anyone who tried to 100% that game just knows. Ugh, they just goddamn know. Also, I appreciate that they made Coco a playable character here in most levels. She might just be a glorified costume for Crash, but the amount of charm and charisma they gave her in animations, I think solidified her as a permanent player too for life because she's just so fucking cute. Yeah, I said it's a shut up. Lastly, before I get into some of the stuff I didn't like, I want to say Crash and Coco's movements feel perfect here, and feel so good to control. So much so that I want to be able to say that if I do die or screw up, it's my fault. But unfortunately I can't, cause no matter how good control of something might be, if hit detection alongside other design choices that are so off that makes me shake my head, well, good control can only get you so far. As I mentioned, the Nsane Trilogy is a one-to-one remake, for better or worse. So they had to walk a fine line of making changes that were necessary, but not to the point where it pisses off the demographic it was targeting, aka the fans who grew up with the series. But honestly, would anyone have complained if they adjusted the camera for backtracking sections? Oh, fuck these parts. They weren't fun then, and they certainly weren't fun now. Especially since Crash can slip off stuff a lot easier thanks to the pill-like terrain hitboxes or whatever the hell you call them, and not to mention the wonky hitboxes enemies have this time around. Anyone who's played has fallen prey to this shit, and anyone who says they haven't, well guess what, you're a big fat fucking liar. Ugh. Last negative I want to talk about are the time relics that they added to the first 2 games. What the fuck were they thinking? Seriously, fuck the time relics. Crash 1 was obviously not designed for time trials due to the stop-and-go style of platforming, and while 2 is more suited for the relics, the times to just get a gold for the trophies was beyond stripped and bullshit. You want to master a time trial? Then fine, that's what the platinum relics are for. But Jesus Christ, I wanted to pull my hair out on some of these. 3 hours on one stage just to get a gold? No thanks, I have better things to do. But despite its setbacks, I'm glad this was made and I'm very glad I got to play it. It makes me hopeful for what the future's gonna bring for Crash, because he definitely earned his comeback. If you want to get into the series but don't know where to start, then you start here. And believe me, you won't regret it, because this was a great game and I'm so glad Crash is back.